tag me.
And we're live. We're gonna have to hire somebody to like do an intro with a jingle, and then we won't have these awkward whatever it is.
Well, we still will, but there'll at least be music over it.
So this is the post-rain delay, pre-post game podcast. We could not have picked better timing. The first close Cub game that they might actually win, and we're talking through it, but that's fine. Oh, I wanted to give everybody, especially you, a glimpse into our demographics of the podcast subscribers.
Oh God.
Now, we're international, and most of our listeners are from the United States. But what country do you think is second at 2% of our listeners?
Japan.
No, it's in.
Well, no, don't give me any.
Oh, sorry, it's not Japan.
It's not Canada.
We don't have anybody from Canada.
Okay.
We have a list of like 12 countries, and Canada's not one of them. So fuck those poutine loving bastards. They're all into them.
Dominican
Hockey
Republic.
Night. They don't care about
Republic.
Is it the Dominican?
Yeah.
This country is not what you would think of as a
baseball country.
Baseball hotbed.
Wait, can I say Puerto Rico? That's not in the United States, right?
Right.
Okay.
Say them a lot when you talk about it too.
How about Germany?
You're getting warmer.
Okay.
But it's colder.
Italy? Oh, it's colder. Okay. Norway.
Very, very close.
Sweden.
Yes. We are huge with the Swedes for some reason.
That only took me, 5 guesses?
Yeah.
This is a great way to start a baseball podcast.
It is. With, hey, guess who listens to us? And people are home are like, well, not me anymore. As they click it off.
Yeah, it'd be great if we had like a heat map of the world and we just saw the two,
you could just see everybody clicking off.
Blink off. I'd like that. Okay.
So the Cubs are dangerously close here to winning more than one game in a week for the first time this year.
The Cubs have won without me being at a game. Congratulations. Right. Very good.
That might have been a bad omen. Not even Will Omen, just a bad omen in general.
Will Omen was the worst omen, though.
Yeah, he was a worse omen than Damien.
I like to, when I think back about Cub players, everyone kind of blends together. Oh, and then remind me that I have a story. I met my mom for lunch today, and I have a good story related.
And your mom, of course, is married now to Will Omen.
To Will Omen. No.
Yes.
So I just kind of have, for like those old bad middle relievers that didn't really make an impact. Like I have a picture in my head of Will Omen that just went from his lips straight down to his chest, and it just kind of, he didn't have a chin, right? It just sort of melted straight back from his lips into his chest. Okay, then I think I'm picturing the right guy. So I was just talking to my mom, and we were talking about how bad the Cubs are. She's a big Cub fan, and she God bless her, I love her to death. And she was like, she's like, oh, and she's like, you know who I don't really like care that much for, and I agree with her on this, personality wise. She's like Ryan Sandberg, like why did they pick him to be like this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. He's kind of a drip. He doesn't really have personality. She's like, because you think about like Ryan Sandberg and like Ernie Banks and then like Ryan Dempster, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? wait,
oh God!
I'm like, why are you conflating those three or putting those three in the same sentence? And she was talking about them being, because is Dempster's title ambassador of the Cubs or some bullshit title?
Yeah, it's the Senate had to confirm him.
Oh, cool.
It's an official Cub ambassador to New Guinea.
But that's what she was saying. And I was like, oh, that's the only time she said it. Now I've said it, that those three should ever be mentioned in the same sentence ever again. Except at some point they're going to be like, well, those three guys are all dead.
So was that the story, or is there also a story?
No,
that was it. All right. Well, that was worth this.
I'm not a storyteller.
So Matt Spiegel is now hosting. Apparently, the score apparently has kicked Barry Rosner officially to the curb now. They won't use him for anything. So Spiegel is hosting he hosts the Saturday show, whatever the hell that is, with Bruce Levine. And then he's got a Sunday morning one. And he's going to have a rotating group of co-hosts. And the first one was our buddy, Ryan Dempster. Is
Spiegel not on weekdays anymore?
No, it's for about a year now he's been off. But
I don't.
You're not alone in people who aren't listening to them.
Yeah, I don't think I've listened to sports radio across the board since I would say 2013, maybe 2014. Like I had one of those moments. I was driving home from something, and I just had one of those moments of clarity where I'm like, why am I listening to these dumbasses take calls from even dumber asses when like I could be listening to a book on tape?
Right, you could be educating yourself.
Yeah, I literally did. I went from 670 The Scorer to like that the Learning Company series. I listened to one on like extraterrestrial life, then I listened to one on like the evolution of language. I was like, this is a much better use of my time.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Danielle Steele and Joan Collins' sister, whatever that is, whatever she is. So anyway, I literally listened to. I went running. I got in the car. 670 was still on, so I listened.
Running if you had a car.
Well, I'd run out of gas. And I hear it's like, oh, there's Spiegel. Oh, that's right, Dempster's on. So as I'm reaching to change it to anything else, he says something about they're talking about collapses, and he's like, oh yeah, that kind of happened to us in 2004.
How far away is your radio from your steering column that you have to he got a whole sentence?
Well, I've had a stroke, and my right arm, this one doesn't work anymore, so I couldn't reach over and touch it.
Hey, maybe you can be in the Cub bullpen.
But I very nearly drove off the road in rage because I'm like, yeah, I remember that. You were a pretty big part of that, Ryan, in maybe the most infamous choke game ever. The eventual Victor Diaz 3-run homer, that all started because old Ryan couldn't throw a strike to start the inning, and LaTroy, who I loathe, had to pitch for like the fourth day in a row and gave up a 3-run homer to that piece of crap.
I vividly remember that because I was following that game on my phone in Notre Dame Stadium, watching Notre Dame get waxed by Purdue. Someone fact check me on that, but I think that was the game that I was at, and I think we lost.
Well, so John Greenberg did a sports radio survey on The Athletic, and there's a lot of contradictory. He just asked people, "What do you listen to? Who do you listen to? Why? Who do you hate listen to?" Which was everybody.
Oh, a sport. I thought you meant like an auditory survey. I was like, never mind.
Yeah,
go on.
So there was. Sorry, distracted by Jason Hayward trying to drop a fly ball in the rain.
I hate that you're like a minute ahead.
Yeah, I'm way ahead.
For
oh God, there's a home run. They lost. It'll take you a minute before you see that they didn't. But one of the things I noticed, because I filled out the survey myself, and one thing I noticed was I still listen to this when I listen to sports radio, and I don't listen to as much as I used to. I pretty much only listen to it like at lunchtime. Feels like that's when I'm, if I'm stuck in the car, that's what I should listen to.
A digestif to really keep that down. Yeah.
I realized that I listen to the Score more than I do AM 1000, and I don't like any of the shows on the Score. None of them.
You like any of them on AM 1000?
I like Waddle and Sylvie.
I do like those guys. I don't like how grab assy they
are. And I also like the Tom Izzo show that I think it's Izzo and Company. He's on all the time. Kaplan sometimes is on it. Oh no, that's right. It's just Kaplan. He always has Tom Izzo on. And if you remember the last time you and I and Chuck went on Sports Central before they canceled it, who did we get stuck in the green room for like a half hour because Cap wouldn't stop talking to Tom Izzo?
That's true.
But anyway, there's a little hope. The one guy I do like is Lawrence Holmes. And they moved around all the shifts so that he's now on from noon. He just has a little 2-hour show from noon to 2. And so that's who I can see. And now he does the Madden interview, which is much better than listening to fucking Dan Bernstein and Connor McKnight try to sound,
I don't hate with Connor McKnight, but I will always loathe Dan Bernstein.
Well, by association.
Yeah, exactly.
Bernstein.
So is Lawrence Holmes...
he's black.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that.
I thought that's what you were asking.
I can say this without being racist. Is he the guy that moved to Atlanta for a while, for a couple?
No, that was Jason Goff.
See, I am.
He got screwed.
And then he came back, though, right?
He came back, and him and Spiegel were on at middays, and then they moved guys around, and they put him on with Bernstein, and he replaced Terry Boers.
Oh.
And then they couldn't have that. So then they brought Dan McNeil back because everybody's just clamoring to hear Dan McNeil.
Knew he was coming back. I didn't realize for that.
He got tired of selling Fords, and so they brought him in. That's what he was doing. He was selling trucks.
Does Spiegel still have the little soul patch, like disgusting soul patch?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Okay. I guess he's got a face for radio.
So this is more quality podcasting.
Yeah, we should really get to something.
Doing a half-ass thing.
Well, it's a rain delay.
So a smart guy would title these podcasts after we do them, but it asks for one before, so I do it anyway. And so the one today is, what if they're just bad?
Okay, so that's our topic.
Because what if they're just bad? I don't think they are, but what if they are? Because it's been bad so far. They're literally their two best hitters who combined to help get the lead tonight, Jason Hayward and Victor Caratini.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
So baseball is such a cool kind of tricky game like that. Now, I know the Mariners have been building for a while, but
then they tore it all down.
Right.
And now they're better.
Exactly. That's
at
what
least
I'm saying.
For now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so they've put a lot of work into the franchise for good or for bad. And yes, they've but they probably shouldn't be playing at this level now, just like the Cubs obviously shouldn't be playing at this level. I mean, I guess that's probably why baseball is such a cool kind of fascinating sport, because you're never, I mean, unless you're the Cubs right now, you're never truly out of it unless your bullpen's in it. But I don't know, like it's not the end of the world, you guys. Even if they are play at this level the entire year, okay, that's a lost season. That sucks. We're 1 year closer to. I saw your countdown on Desipio to Bryant being gone, but I don't know. One of the things that I would like to start seeing from the Cubs to kind of turn some hope around, because it's really neat watching these position players come up and play to a high level. What's the last starting pitcher that came up from the Cubs system and has had good success with the Cubs?
Is it Carlos?
Probably.
Zambrano?
I was actually going to try and take you back to Terry Mulholland, even though he didn't come
up. He doesn't count. He didn't come up.
Yeah, of course not. But yeah, that's honestly the name that sticks out in my head, like a pretty dominant pitcher. I mean, protracted career of Kerry Wood, I guess. But I mean, he's even pre-Zambrano.
Right, but right. So even if you include Kerry, Carlos would be after him. Yeah, it's amazing that
they won, by the way.
Yep, 4-8 now.
Yay, halfway there.
Damn.
Okay.
Finally won a series.
So that's disconcerting, because for one, were I a manager or an owner, I would never offer more than 3 years to any starting pitcher. I would grossly overpay for starting pitching in short protract. I'd be like, what do you want to make for your career? I'll give you that, but I'm giving to you over 3 years, because it's such a crapshoot for starting pitching. And
that's the Jerry Reinsdorf theory.
Yeah. So you're saying I'm as good of a GM as Jerry Reinsdorf. Thank you so much. But
well, he's the owner.
Owner, yeah, exactly. But I don't know. it would be nice. And I look, of course, Lester was a home run, arguably their greatest free agent home run. But look at it to this point, how you has turned out. Like Chatwood, like let's go back to Jason Marquis and guys like that. And I know Marquis actually kind of did what they expected him to do and just throw, but like it's such a crapshoot, and it could get so expensive. And like it would be nice to see a little bit stronger pipeline of starting pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, I think off the top of my head, the last two good free agents they've signed, starting pitchers, were Lester and Ted Lilly.
Yeah, true.
And so that was...
You're not counting Edwin Jackson?
Well, I should go without saying. I mean, that was quality.
What about Dempster?
He just signed with the A's again.
Did he really?
Yeah, they sent him to AAA and work his way back up.
Was Dempster a free agent? I can't even remember.
Yes. He caught Tommy John disease.
That's right. And they rehabbed
with the Reds?
Reds.
Is that right? He'd been with the Marlins and went to the Reds or something. And then they got him and they rehabbed him for a whole year. He came back at the end of 2004 and didn't help. And then I don't know that the plan... I'm sure he was an accidental closer. I don't think that was the idea.
No.
And then he closed for a couple years. And then Lou was like, all right, that's enough of this shit.
Yeah.
And remember, he was going to make him a starter during the season? And whatever year that was, like all of a sudden one day he's like, we're gonna start him, and then he changed his mind the next day.
I'm hoping he was just trying to break him at that point. Like,
he's like, okay, so if I start him, I only have to look at him once a week. Fine.
I mean, this is gross to say, but Dempster is probably actually up there for that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you figure he was a competent closer sometimes.
Yeah.
And he won 18 games, right, in 2008 before he completely crapped all over himself in the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, the whole pitching thing it's the root of their problems is that they can't. It's amazing. They have not developed a single reliable pitcher during this entire Theo, Jed, Jason McLeod regime. Nobody. And a couple of those drafts, they basically just took pitchers. Like, we know we got position players, so we're going to draft pitchers. And yeah, not even a middle reliever. They haven't developed anybody. How is that even possible?
Right. And it looked like it was going to be Edwards.
Well, but even if he worked out, he was a trade.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I forget if he'd seen Major League. I mean,
I mean, some people count Hendricks because he hadn't pitched in the big leagues before he got to the Cubs.
Oh, that's true.
But they get some credit. They picked him, although the only reason they got him was because this is the Ryan Dempster podcast. Yeah,
exactly.
Was because Dempster refused to go to the Barbs for because they did a trade.
Yeah.
For Randall Delgado, and then they got Kyle Hendricks instead.
Yeah.
I'm sure Randall Delgado probably would have gone the route in Game 7. We wouldn't have needed Lester and Aroldis, and then
I take it back. Strope was Jason. What's his name? Strope.
Strope.
They got Strope and
he came with Jake Arrieta.
Oh shit, yeah.
Kind of a good trade. One of the Cub trades that kind of worked out.
Yeah. So, do you think that the pitching thing is because, like, speaking of the devil, like I look at it, Arrieta and a Strope, guys that actually now are those guys that just happen to figure it out in the Cub organization, or are those guys that actually benefited from whatever the Cubs are doing? And if that's the case, why hasn't it benefited everyone?
Well, Pedro had one really good year in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Then he was horrible the year they made the trade. And I think Dan Duquette just got tired of him.
Right.
Jake, they kept sending him down, bringing him back up. Basio, I think, really did fix Jake. I think they fixed him by just letting him pitch the way he had in college, where the Orioles were trying to change him. So, but I don't know. I mean, they get credit for all those guys that they brought in, and all of a sudden were better than they had been. But it's the biggest problem they have right now, payroll wise, is that they had to go out and get Darvish, and they had to get Chatwood, and they have to, and they they can't just go to the minors and get a reliable reliever to help when Morrow's hurt or whoever. They're still bringing up scrap heap guys like Alan Webster and whichever Ryan they have. And that's not
Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy or Rex. Ladies, keep your shoes on, or Rex won't be able to throw a strike.
Ugh. Well, they did have to budget out all that for repainting the numbers on the seats or whatever the hell they did there.
You'll be happy to know that Crane Kenny made an appearance tonight in the booth I think it was really to talk about all the wonderful improvements to the park, but instead he took credit for moving the game up by a half hour tonight to beat the rain.
Oh, and then great job. How long was the rain delay?
Then they had a rain delay anyway, and then still finished the game. So thanks, Crane.
Well, thank God it was a win at least. But I guess, so you pitched a little bit and obviously not.
I did.
Okay. So I've never pitched, and I'm angry at my father for never making me pitch since I'm left-handed, but because I could still be on this roster. But I guess I don't know like how. I was thinking about this the other day, like, and I'm probably going to do a bit about this or a sketch about this, but it's very funny to me, the idea of like Madden as a coach. Yes, the guy that puts together the lineup on all that stuff. But like, I just think back to Little League and or spring training for these guys. I'm like, he's not like, I feel like they're at this point, it's kind of the cows out of the barn. And it's not like you're like, hey, I'm teaching you how to field a glove ball. Or like, I'm teaching you how to throw your hands at the baseball at the plate. Like it's, and I know that there's like little tweaks and things that they can see in their technique, but like at a certain point, I feel like all these coaches, I love Joe Madden but that's a different thing, the strategic part of the game and putting together lineups and all that stuff. But like, are any of these fucking coaches doing anything for these guys? Honestly,
I mean, we should do an entire podcast where it's just things that are horribly overrated in baseball.
Right.
Pitching coach, hitting coach,
chemistry,
spin rate, pitch framing. If I hear that one more fucking time, it's like, yes, these things, I understand that the idea behind that is these teams are so close talent-wise that if you can get a couple of things, if you can get an edge in something, that might be the difference between winning 92 games and 94 games. And maybe you not the wild card, but they act like, Wilson, if he could frame a pitch, the team's ERA wouldn't be 7, it'd be 3. It's like, no, it would be 6.98. That's what it would be.
Don't you think a little bit of that is people trying to catch lightning in a bottle, like the Moneyball, like they want to be the next Billy B?
That's exactly what it is. And there are writers who are writing with an idea that they want to write about all this stuff, and because some of them have gotten hired to work in front offices, that they're like, look at this, and I see this, and they're almost like their articles become like a resume. Like, look how smart I am about this. It's like, for God's sakes, I understand that there is, I believe that all of that has some level of importance. But I believe that level of importance is not nearly as high as they want you to believe it is.
For sure. For sure. That when you say resume, that reminds me of when Bob Brenly was basically openly advocating to get himself hired again as manager.
Yep.
And but his resume was like one of the ones written in crayon on a napkin that he was handing out. Did you see? We do have a couple things to talk about the old Cubbies. Oh, sorry, I said Cubbies, everyone. Did you see the picture of the thermostat in the booth where poor Bob was sitting? What in the hell is wrong with this franchise?
That's why if I were Len and JD and Crane came and sat next to me, that would have been 5 minutes of, all right, buddy, when are you actually going to fix this crap?
Yeah.
The working conditions for the TV and the radio crews and the wags in the press box. I swear, every Gordon tweet gives me douche chills anyway. But the word wag, just knock it off. If that's your shtick, that's not a good shtick. Try something else. Like maybe a different line of work. But
maybe.
Like it's amazing that they, it's funny. Most teams try to make it a pleasant experience for most businesses who have like a public relations department. Try to make it pleasant for the media to come learn more about them and help them promote their product. It seems like the Cubs have actively tried to make sports writers suffer.
Well, can you imagine any other profession where like they're like, hey, sit here for 4 hours. It's 30 degrees in this room. It's ridiculous. I gave the Ricketts family probably a lot more rope than they deserved, but they are I don't want to be like an Al and be like, they need to do something now. But like I'm now on the other side of it where people, if they trash the Ricketts, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad they won a World Series. Well, and they didn't win the World Series, but like I'm glad that I got to see the Cubs win a World Series, and I don't think that would have happened under Tribune ownership. But what have you done for me lately?
There are a fair amount of people who will, and I think you have to. I'm going to say this the way I think it is. I think you have to choose to like them. I think they've gotten to a point now where you have to decide, I'm going to like them, even in spite of all this despicable crap.
I'm going to ignore their politics, and I'm going to.
But if you take that's a relatively small portion of Cub fans now. It's amazing how quickly they spent the goodwill that they should have been able to dine out on forever.
Right.
They're the ownership that finally won a world, the unthinkable. They won a World Series with the Cubs. We're not even 3 years later. Yep. And all people want to talk about is what a bunch of schmucks, not even schmucks. They're schnooks. They're
grifters, essentially. They should have had another 105 years of goodwill built up at this point, because we were still going to watch those goddamn teams, and willing them to win.
I mean, they should have been able to be at a part where Todd's great-great-grandson was sending whatever kind of electronic message to be sending in the future to his grandpa, complaining that the kids on the playground weren't going to know that he owned as much of the Cubs as his brother. We're well past that now.
I want to quickly get back to the booth, because I feel like some people that are listening to this might, I don't know how you would find your way to this podcast unless you were at least as active on Twitter as I am.
Or you live in Sweden.
Or you're Swedish.
It's where this is the national podcast of Sweden. Next week, behind me, tulips, wooden shoes, and windmills. That's all it's going to be. And we'll be on location next week.
That's Holland, right?
Whatever. My wife's Swedish, and this stupid little painted horses. Is that Swedish enough for you?
It's blonde women and painted horses, sure.
Painted ladies.
Painted ladies, and I think, isn't that the O with the line through it and 2 dots above it? That might be. I don't know. Anyhow, so but just in case you guys didn't see the story, there was a sign from 1945 posted in the press box that I get trying to preserve history for the team, and that's interesting. That was the last time the Cubs had been to the World Series until obviously the 2016. But the bottom of the sign said it was a press box sign. Like, I don't know if it was regular rules, but the important part said "No women allowed."
Yeah, it had a pink poodle on it.
Yep.
And it said "No women allowed." And apparently that was nostalgia.
Yeah. You know what? And it would have been, it probably would have been inexcusable in any context, but like, you could have literally, if you really wanted to preserve that nostalgia, just lop off the bottom of the sign, or be like, hey, now that we're buying up all this property around here, let's set up a museum and point out that, like, hey, baseball wasn't always great. Remember when we had like colored fountains and like white people fountain? Like, acknowledge, because yes, that is an important, well, it's important to remember that we were fucking idiots, but like to intentionally hang that, and I God bless Carrie for all the shit that I gave her, and she put up with it and never blocked me on Twitter, and God bless her, because it was all in good fun, and I was frankly making more fun of the Cubs fans than her. But like, what a shitty thing for her to walk into and see that and not for her to have to go back and see in 1945 that there was that intolerance, but to know that somebody that week had hung that without a second. Well, either is a nasty person and didn't. I hate to say nasty person because of the connotation of that, but like hang that and not think. This is not like oh, am I allowed to say that guy's a black person? Like, it's not something like that where you're just not sure. It's just fucking blatantly ignorant, and that's very disheartening that there's anyone that has access to that press box and the Cub organization that thinks that was okay. Well, so shame on you.
It's just another in an unceasing line of public relations blunders. Mm-hmm. And they're always self-imposed. They were self-inflicted, all of them. I mean, how long did it take them to figure out that, hey, don't throw things away in the dumpster behind Wrigley, where the sports writers wait for guys to come out at the end of the season, and they're going to see all the crap you're throwing away. I mean, it's stuff like anything political they've managed to botch over the years. But one good thing is, I think because of this, the very poorly handled incident with that press box sign, they're now seriously reconsidering their initial plan to have Len and JD broadcast the game on Jackie Robinson Day in blackface. They might not do that now.
Well, I thought the press box thing was actually part of their grand reorganization of the seats plan, and they were just going to have an all-women press box and an all-men press box at this point.
I'm surprised they don't sell. I haven't made that a club. And you can just mingle with the sports writers during the game. Drink some $40, mixed drinks and sit in between Bruce Miles and sit between the Bruces. You get to sit between Bruce Miles and Bruce Levine. And they do this. That's the other thing I don't get. They do all this stuff. So Crane comes on and he talks about basically all these places rich people can piss away their money in Wrigley. That's what it's all about.
Oh, the brand new, the very nice.
Yeah, they added the one club where now you have to get from one side of the grandstand to the other. You have to go on a catwalk behind Wrigley and come back around because they stuck a club where the walkway was before. And they don't seem to understand, or it's not they don't understand. They're not that stupid. They don't care. They don't care that they spent the whole offseason claiming they don't have any money. And then opening day comes around and it's look at all the new ways you can spend money here.
Yeah, that's very true. And I don't know. I haven't bothered looking at ticket prices at Wrigley, but I'm certain they went up from last year. I'm guessing whatever percentage they decided was acceptable.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
So I don't know that I think we committed to another couple to go to at least one like Friday afternoon game at Wrigley. That might be all for me this year. I'll watch them, and I'll probably like at schmuck subscribe in 2020 or whatever it is when the network comes out. But you're right. It's a very strange position to be in 3 years removed from a World Series and to be this disheartened as a Cubs fan, because like I wasn't this disheartened in 2006. I was just like angry, but
in some ways, the faceless corporate
was better
ownership. Yeah, you didn't have four people that you were like, ugh, why can't you guys get your shit together?
Yeah. Speaking of, well, I'm not gonna. You won't need a hint for this. The place we went for dinner with this other couple, that Kelsey was facing me, and there was a TV behind me. She's like, "Oh, Cubs trivia." She's like, "Who is the last Cub to steal 40 bases?" I'm sure you know this.
Well, I didn't. I had blocked it out.
Was that on TV here? Okay. I got it in a heartbeat because of my severe hatred for this person.
Yeah. As soon as I heard it, I went, ugh.
Oh, so they did say it. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, it was beer money.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And the guy guessed Sammy Sosa. But partially that was Stuckmeyer's fault because the guy goes, well, Sammy was 40-40. And Stuckmeyer goes, well, yeah, but this was before that. Well, no, Sammy was 30-30. He wasn't ever 40-40.
Well, and also...
And then he said Juan Pierre, and I went, no, for fuck's sakes.
Juan Pierre would have been after Sammy anyhow, right?
Right.
So, and kudos to Kelsey. She had I thought, a pretty solid guess. She guessed Baez. And I'm like, I think didn't he have like 30? Maybe
yeah.
I'm way over. Yeah, I feel like he had about 30. I'm like, I'm going to look this up. Talk amongst yourself, please.
Yes, I will talk amongst myself.
Fine, among yourself.
Between
yourself.
I thought it was Ronnie Cedeno. That would have been my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, they had some doozies. They actually have like rain delay themed beer money now. I guess it's pretty smart because that's pretty much the only time anybody ever sees it.
He only had 21. I'd take it back. But
is that the most he's ever had?
Yes. But first, I mean, unless you're cute.
So he's not even close then.
He's still 51 total in his career.
But if he had done that all in 1 year, then he would have been the answer.
I feel that was last year though, and I feel like for a slugger, that's some pretty damn good base stealing. How many does Rizzo have in a season? 4?
So I have a theory about Chris Bryant.
That he's going to leave?
The third game of the year he played left in Texas, and he ran into the wall. And he hasn't hit worth his shit since then. And I wonder if he hurt himself again. I don't think it's bad, but I wonder. I remember watching going, oh, great, he's not going to hit another home run for 3 months. And he hasn't done anything since then. He should have had a double or a triple tonight, but Melky Cabrera is still playing Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And Melky rolled his fat ass over in the corner and made a nice catch. But Chris has been rather uninspiring of late. Although Rizzo's not hitting either, and he's not hurt. He's just
so that's actually what I was looking up right now. So what do you? I guessed 4. What do you think Rizzo's career high?
Career high in stolen bases.
Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Can't be much more than that. I'll say 5.
That's what I would have guessed.
But it's 27 when he was with the Padres.
17 in 2015.
Really?
Yeah. He had 10 in 2017.
So that's not caught stealing? That's actual steals?
I was actually looking at caught stealing at first. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. 1, 2, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 4. Nope. Stolen bases 2, 3, 6, 5, 17, 3, 10, 6, 0 this year. I'd be interested now that you're talking about Melky Cabrera. Who, other than Bartolo, who is the longest tenured MLB player right now? It can't be.
I should know this.
Miguel Cabrera.
Oh, Zobrist is probably older.
Oh yeah,
Miggy. Although Miggy would have come up. Obviously, he came up in 03.
That's what I said. Yeah. That was my guess.
I wonder. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking out loud. I'm also distracted by David DeJesus.
All right.
His collar is sticking out of his jacket.
Wrote an article about this. Oh. Okay, this will be interesting for the two of us and probably for no one that's listening. Is anyone listening? We should not do this if anyone's listening still.
It's too late.
Okay. All right. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Okay. So, this longest tenured player on each team. Okay. Blue Jays, Kevin Pillar.
What are you doing? You're going through every team?
No, I found an article with every team.
But this is longest tenure with one team. Oh, Chris Davis, and he's hitless in his last 54 at bats. Does that qualify as a slump?
Oh no, yeah, I think this is just per team.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody who's changed teams a million times. But Bart is not in the big leagues right now, so he doesn't count. But it would be him, I think.
Who? Oh, Bartolo. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna make you get. Is this fun?
Sure.
No, this is not fun.
Well, give me a few. I'll see if I can come up with the longest tenured player.
I've given you the Blue Jays and the Orioles so far. The Rays.
Jesus. The longest tenured Ray. Is it Kevin Kiermaier?
Very good.
All right.
Red Sox.
Dustin Pedroia.
Very good. Yankees. I don't know if this one's.
It's Jeter. Oh wait, he's not around anymore. CC?
No. He has one more year of service than.
Oh, Brett Gardner.
Yeah, my bad. Indians. This will be probably pretty tough.
The Indians.
He has a very alliterative name. I don't know if you'll get this one. He's been there 10 years. He had Tommy John surgery. Just ahead of Kipnis and Kluber. I don't think you'll get this one unless you want me to.
Carlos Carrasco.
Very good. Okay. Royals, this one should be pretty reachable.
Oh, Alex Gordon?
Yep. Tigers, you should obviously get this one.
It's Jack Morris. Or Miguel Cabrera.
It's Cecil Fielder. Yes, Miguel Cabrera. The Twins, who the hell? I don't know that
Twins is Byron Buxton. 3 years.
This guy has 7 years with the Twins. I don't think you're going to get this one. I'll just tell you. Kyle Gibson.
No, I would not. You could have given me a million guesses. I could have started going through the phone book in Minneapolis. I would have got to Kyle Gibson.
I don't think I even know who that is. White Sox.
The longest tenured Sox. Boy, that can't be very long. Oh, is it Jose Abreu?
No, it's 8 years.
Oh.
It's a reliever.
Oh, of course it is.
It's probably going to be a tough one, too.
One of their many fungible relief pitchers.
I don't know that you're.
I don't know.
Nate Jones.
No, I would not have guessed that.
Angels. This should be an easy one.
Is it Trout?
Yep. Astros.
Oh.
9 years.
Jose Altuve.
Very good. A's.
Oh, that's somebody they picked up this spring. It's the A's.
No, 8 years. Debuted in late call-up in 2007. Left-hander. Only recently, he last pitched for them in 2013 and only recently re-signed on a minor league deal.
Oh.
I don't know. Well,
Miss Mark Mulder.
It is Jerry Blevins.
Oh, he's an old Cub. He got traded for Jason Kendall.
Yep. Oh, I should have probably told you that. Mariner should be relatively easy. 15 years.
It's not Ichiro anymore.
Nope.
How many years?
15. That surprises me, but the name is.
Oh, it's Felix Hernandez.
Yep. Rangers.
Well, Beltre's gone. Is it Elvis?
Yeah, 11 years. Braves. This should. I don't know if this is super surprising, but
the Barbs.
It's not McCann.
No, because he left, but he's back.
But he's close.
Oh, they should call Chip.
Another alliterative.
He wouldn't know.
He's like, oh.
Alliterative.
Yes.
It's not. I was thinking. No.
A lot would argue that he's one of the better hitters one of the more.
Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, one of the more underrated hitters.
Yeah. Problem is, now that I'm old, all these guys he hasn't been there very long. Is it Dale Murphy?
So let me just. I won't. Well, maybe you'll get this. But for Marlins, I'll give you bonus points if you just get how many.
The longest serving Marlin.
Yeah.
It's Kyle Barraclaw, and it's 3 years.
It's 5 years, and it's Prado.
I would never guess that.
Yeah.
Who's the Cub is Rizzo, right?
I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet, but it should be, right?
Because for the longest time, only him and Starlin were still around from.
Yeah. Mets reliever.
Well, is it Juris Familia?
Very good.
Because he left and came back.
Yep. Nationals should be relatively easy. Well, I don't know about easy, but
is it Strasburg? No, they should have somebody longer than that.
Yeah,
they actually keep some of their guys.
He's probably one of the faces of the franchise now that Harper's gone.
Is it Anthony Rendon?
No. Good guess. You're on the correct side of the infield, I think, right?
Or Trey Turner?
No. Oh, so no. Never mind. Well.
It's Ryan Zimmerman.
Yes, very good. Phillies. I don't know if this one.
Bryce Harper.
Is this the dumbest thing that we've ever done?
No, remember the time we went through all the free agents? This isn't even close.
Okay, good. I feel better. Okay.
There was people guessing along at home and yelling at me like, "No, dumbass!"
Yeah,
they love this stuff.
So a better question would be: can you name the Phillies' second baseman?
Cesar Hernandez.
Very good. You're a much better baseball fan than I am. Oh, you're gonna love this. We're at the NL Central, and we start with the Brewers.
God. The Brewers.
Yep.
Would be I'd say it like Chris Wusso. The Brewers. It's Ryan Braun.
Yes, and then of course
Captain Valtrex.
Cardinals.
I can't think of who the Cardinal would be. I have no idea. I'll tell you what. Catcher Gary Bennett. Gary Bennett, a long-time catcher.
Underrated player in the game of baseball because of his pitch framing.
Every once in a while, though, I like to get Cardinal fans fired up by wondering, Cubs need a backup catcher. I wonder if they could get Yadi or Molina. It just sends them right off.
Of course, the Cubs, you were correct. That is Rizzo. That's 8. It's 8 seasons. Pirates.
Is it Starling Marte?
Very good. Reds.
Joey Votto.
Very good. D-backs. I don't know about that. Actually, D-back. Well, I guess.
Oh, God. It would have been Goldschmidt, but he's gone. It would have been Pollock, but he's gone.
Yep. This is only 6 seasons.
Yeah. David Peralta.
Very good. They also, it's funny you say that because it says the D-backs recently have lost several longtime contributors, including Paul.
Is it still young Kim? Is he there? Is Brad Brentley still bringing him in? I know you gave up a crippling home run in the World Series the other day. Well, let's try it again. Oh, shit, you did it again. It's amazing they won that World Series.
Yeah. Patrick Corbin was the other one they mentioned.
Oh, yeah, he's a Nat now.
Long time, guys. Dodgers should be relatively odd, but 12 years. I didn't
Clayton.
Know. Yep. Giants.
Bumgarner, probably.
11 years for him. Okay, Padres have never even heard of this guy, but
it's one of their is it Hunter Renfroe?
No, he's a starter. Wait, no, maybe not. He missed all of 2017 after Tommy John surgery. This is their longest tenured player. He's thrown 257 and 2/3 innings for them.
Because the only reason he's still there is they can't get rid of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
God, I don't know who it would be.
They got him from the Rangers, if that helps, in 2011. No. Robbie Erlin.
No, Jesus.
And then
you're making that up.
Yeah. And then Rockies. This is not that tough of one, I don't think. It was Cardinal, obviously, but it's not.
So it's either it can't be Arenado, right? Is it Charlie Blackmon?
Very good.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out which one of those two came up first.
Good job. Well, that was.
I know my longest tenure. Now let's do let's go to AAA. Let's do those.
No,
Scott Moore playing for the Cubs.
Teams that have stuck with the franchises the longest because it's like a revolving door. I didn't even get the answer that I wanted for the longest. You can keep talking. I'll figure out who the longest tenured MLB player
is. Well, it's probably one of those guys had to be. I don't know. I was thinking.
Or not.
I guess not. I guess it's so few, like Votto, guys who only play for one team. I was thinking one of those guys we've named is probably it, but that's probably not it, because so few guys actually play their whole career with one team. So I probably did. We probably did not just name him.
Right.
I don't know. So the Cubs play the Angels this weekend, but Mike Trout is carrying his groin around in a satchel. So I think he should take the weekend off. You don't want it. It's cold. You don't want to risk it. So they should not play him. And I don't know who else they actually have. Shohei's not back. He comes back in May. So for all those people who spent big bucks to watch the Angels, you might have been wasting your money. So look at that. Mike got so excited by naming those. Oh, he's back. You froze for a minute. I thought you were pausing to do research.
I thought you froze. Actually, I'm going to plug myself into the... Excuse me, everyone, for the crotch shot. There we go. I don't know how many of the oldest players that I had read through.
So
I'm guessing that that wasn't actually an internet issue. You probably hit the dump button on me.
Yes, I did. I was like, all right, that's enough of this shit. I want to talk Angels, so I did.
I will. Let's just do one thing. Guess which on this list of 10 old.
Uh-oh.
Should I tell you where he went?
Okay, you froze. I didn't hear the first part of that.
So
I heard of the list of the 10 oldest something.
Yes. Can you guess which former Cub of the 10 current? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. This is from 2018.
So these are the 10 players who've played the longest in the big leagues, and one of them is a former Cub.
No, it's not necessarily longest in the big leagues, but it's oldest players at the beginning of 2018.
Oh, all right. And one of them is a former Cub.
Yes. I could if you'd like, I could give you where he went, or I could give you his position, but
give me what you think is the least obvious of the two clues.
That's what I'm trying to think. Okay.
Former Cub.
I guess. Okay. He's a pitcher.
Former Cub who's a pitcher. Was it Edwin Jackson?
No.
He's a former everything.
I'm not misremembering this, am I? I'm pretty sure he's a former Cub.
All right, so where did he go when he left the Cubs? Or will that give it away?
Wait a minute. I'm making sure he's a former. Okay, good. He is. Because I thought it was. I don't know.
Is it Amaury Telemaco?
He went.
Is he still around?
Good question.
No.
he went. He went
Jose
the
Bautista.
American League Central.
Okay, so he left the Cubs. Well, it's Eloy Jimenez.
I take it back. He didn't go straight to the American League Central. I'm not sure he went straight to the American League Central, but he's at the beginning of 2018. He was in the American League Central. Okay, I can tell you where he went from the Cubs if you prefer that.
Yes,
okay.
I'll get it for this. This will be the clue that I need.
He went from the Cubs to the Padres, I think. Hang on, let me get Baseball Reference here.
Andrew Kashner.
No.
Well, he did.
Okay.
So he's old. He's an old Cub and Padre who's now in the AL Central.
Technically true.
See, if people were listening to this live, they could tweet me the answer.
Yeah, you jerks.
Where's Mike D? He would know this.
Yes,
he's yelling. He's going to listen to this on a recording and yell at his. He's probably still. He probably records and puts them on a tape and listens to them on a Walkman. So he's yelling at his Walkman on his bike.
So he He did go from Cubs to Padres.
And now he's in the AL Central.
Now he's in the oh shit. Nope. At the beginning, to be fair, I did say at the beginning of 2018 he was.
Oh, that's right. At the beginning of last year he was. So now he's somewhere else.
AL West. Specifically Oakland.
An old Cub.
So since the Cubs, and he was on a playoff team with the Cubs, since the Cubs.
Oh, it's Augie Ojeda.
He's been to San Diego, Miami, Arizona, Minnesota, and now Oakland.
And he's a pitcher.
He is.
He's a relief pitcher?
He is.
I should know this.
I found him to be very obnoxious when he wasn't pitching for the Cubs, and he wasn't not obnoxious as a Cub.
Oh, it's Fernando Rodney.
Very good.
Yeah.
You good?
Oh, yeah, I would not have found it. Yeah, that's right. I saw him in one of the fake opening series in Japan. I was like, oh, there's where Fernando.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I think the best part of his Cub career was
the end,
shooting the arrow.
That's
against the Cardinals, and the Cardinal fans got me. He's only supposed to do that at the end of games. Oh, that's right. The thing he does, you have set the criteria for it, so he's not allowed to do it.
Yeah,
and like you would have been happier with it had he done it at the end of the game.
Yeah,
just shut up, because he actually left the game with. That was he did it in Game 4 when they eliminated the Cardinals, and he had left somebody on base. And
I was at that game.
That was a Big Trev came in to help save the day in that game.
Yeah, that's right.
Big Trev is still an A.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
I haven't called him in a while.
Maybe the Cubs might need him back now.
Yeah.
The bullpen's fixed, though. They looked they've been sharp in this series, so nothing to worry about.
Good.
I'd be surprised if they lose another game. So they finally won a series.
Yeah.
They finally got the meatloaf that Theo so decried. Didn't want him to get meatloafs anymore. No 2 out of 3. So they took him seriously. They were getting none and 1 out of 3s. And then apparently he said, okay, fine, you can have a meatloaf once in a while. But everything's magnified because it's the beginning of the season. If you go 4-8 in June, it sucks, but people don't really notice. You do it at the beginning of the year, and it's the apocalypse. But there was just so much of that phony crap that Kyle and I talked about this on the first podcast. So let's talk about it again.
Well, no one's listening after what I just did anyhow.
That's true. I mean, the thing you didn't expect from the Theo Epstein Cubs is this, we got to play. We got to try harder. We got to play harder. We got must-win games. I mean, all that crap. They're the smart guys who go, okay, that's all bullshit. If you put together a good, consistent effort, the best teams win the most games. That's all we have to do.
Exactly.
But because they didn't have any money to spend in the offseason, all they could do was sit around and navel gaze. And this is what they came up with in the offseason is, we're going to circle 10 games that are must-wins. And we're going to win those Sunday games that we were losing. And all it's like, just shut up and go try to find somebody on the cheap to pitch out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And we're not going to let them drink as much beer on the plane. Wow. I think they should drink more. And maybe
obviously. It's like that God, I can't even remember what it's from. They're trying to oh God, this is gonna be the worst thing. Anyhow, it's like when you're golfing and it's like, all right, keep your elbow, like keep the elbow down or your elbow pinned into your side, like you're squeezing a $1 bill, and it's like, and then you shank it, and they're like, all right, wave your elbow around, that kind of thing.
No, you're right. This was very much a lesson on the course, and they never work. Yeah. And that's kind of what the Cubs were left with this year was. Yeah.
Well, you're saying
we'll take everybody that we've already got and we'll make them 4% better. And you take that 4% times 25 players. And that's
100% better.
That's 100% better. And we won 95 games last year. We're going to win 190 this year because we're 100% better than we were last year.
So, but even the way you just said it there, it's like they were at like Guys, we're 12 games into the season?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, whatever.
Well, they started the season 2-6. Do you know the last team to go 2-6 and win the National League pennant?
The Dodgers.
Last year, yes. So that's how far you have to go back. And the Dodgers are busy crapping. They've lost 4 games in St. Louis this week. And I have a feeling there's not a huge panic in LA. Right. The Red Sox have the same record.
The Red Sox are awful.
Or I think they won today, so I think they're 5-9. They're just as bad as the Cubs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's Red Sox fans who are panicking because they think it's they went from this cursed, tortured fan base to now it's their birthright to win every championship in every sport, and they never want to fucking let you forget it.
So I think one of the things that makes it, and if it makes you Cubs fans feel better, like I think one of the things that makes it more frustrating is the little stepbrother Brewers are actually a fun, good team to watch. And that's annoying. And like, I get that that's annoying, but like, that doesn't really mean, first of all, it doesn't mean that the Cubs are not as good of a team as the Brewers. The Brewers are good and they've improved, but like, I feel like it's more frustrating seeing success out of teams you hate. And it sucks looking up at the Cardinals and the Brewers and the Pirates, but like, I don't know. I would just implore you to not let those two things shouldn't be tied together. Like, the team's frustrating to watch right now. I do think they're still a good team. I do think they'll right the ship. I do think they will figure out the bullpen problems. And at least it's easy to point to a very, very glaring problem. And like, okay, we got it. And there's going to be times where they're just absolutely not hitting. There's going to be times where their starting pitching is all shitting the bed. And their starting pitching, other than Lester, basically isn't off to that how to start either. Like, it runs in peaks and valleys. And I do think at least they have a very obvious, everyone on the planet knows what their most glaring error is right now. And I think they'll probably try and address it. And if they don't fucking watch them. Because they don't deserve it. If they're just going to be like, no, this is fine, then don't watch them.
So the Cubs' history of quality left-handed starters is so good that Jose Quintana tonight, with 11 strikeouts in 7 innings and no runs allowed, is one of 3 Cub left-handers to ever do that. Do you know who the other 2 were?
Oh, Christ, no.
And one of them did it. The other 2 both pitched complete game shutouts. One of them pitched 12 innings. He's probably the best.
Wasn't Bill Hands left-handed?
He was, but he's not one of this. But same era, the other guy who's probably the best left-handed starter they ever had from those same Cubs.
Fuck. See, I'm not as good.
So that was Ken Holtzman, went 12 innings.
Holtzman. Oh, shit. Okay.
The other guy is still pitching in the big leagues. And he was a Cub during the end of Dusty into Lou. One of my least favorite Cubs of all time.
Oh, shit. A left-handed starter. And it's not Terry Mulholland.
It's not Terry Mulholland. We should come up with a Terry Mulholland fact every week.
I love Terry Mulholland. And it's obviously not Lily. Because he's your most, if you said he was your least favorite Cub, you wouldn't even be appearing on this podcast. You'd be in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, you can't.
No, not Marquis.
No, left-handed. Maybe that was Marquis' problem.
Marquis.
Maybe he should have been left-handed.
Didn't he hit left-handed or something? Fuck.
So
I don't know.
Still pitched against the Cubs in the playoffs.
Oh, Hill.
Rich Hill.
Ah.
And now Jose Quintana joined that. Q was really good tonight. So he's really it was amazing how terrible he was in Milwaukee. But he pitched well in Texas too. In his emergency relief outing. So
my mom was lamenting him a little bit. I'm like, he's pitching exactly like he's gonna probably hover, or I guess my dad was making comments about it. I'm like, he's going to hover probably around a 4 ERA. He's going to throw 210 innings, and like he's going to take the ball every 5 days, and he's going to be good. And he's going to wow you with a 12 strikeout start, and then occasionally he'll shit the bed. I love what Quintana brings. Like I think 9 times out of 10 he gives him a chance to win, and I mean, what the hell else do you expect?
So Hayward already has 4 home runs. He didn't hit his 4th home run till the 52nd game last year, and he only hit 8 all last year.
He's halfway there.
I harbor no illusions that this is real, but what if it is? What if all of a sudden he's not like last year? He was fairly competent at the plate.
He was much better than he had been.
It was still not nearly what you want out of a corner outfielder on a pennant contending team. Yeah. But what if he is all of a sudden? Some of us could be really good, and he is. In obviously when they're all hitting, they scored 10 runs, 5 times already, some ridiculous number like that, and they even actually won a couple of those, which is nice.
They squeaked out a couple wins out of those.
I'm for the Athletic, we had to pick the player who it was kind of time to prove it, and then the breakout player. And my prove it player was Schwarber, and my breakout player is, I fear he's never going to break out, is Albert. I don't see it. He changed his stance. He did all that stuff in the spring, but then he doesn't work counts. He doesn't draw walks, and he doesn't have enough power to be a guy who can get away with that.
Nor does he have enough speed to be particularly useful anywhere else.
No, but I think, but now that Victor Caratini is hitting, they could just play Victor in center and not lose anything speed wise. And get his bat in the lineup.
They could play Victor in center in full catcher's gear and not lose anything speed-wise.
Maybe Albert ought to be a catcher. Maybe that's his destiny.
I'm rooting hard for Albert. He's a likable guy. He plays his ass off clearly, but he's not particularly good at baseball.
Ken Rosenthal had a thing about. And he was saying, this is way too early, but, why not? Let's talk about it. What if the Cubs if they don't get it together and you get to July, who could you sell with the idea being you want to do like the Yankees did?
Yeah.
You sell, but the idea you're going to contend next year. You're not entering into this
a fire sale.
And he mentioned like Strope and Brandon Morrow, but shouldn't you take a look at? Of course, the problem is they've all depressed their trade value, but somebody on the core needs. If you're going to do that, somebody needs to go.
Yeah,
I do think they need to. It's like the whole Bull Durham thing. Their kids scare them. The one thing I'll never know, I don't know how anybody would ever know, but I have this nagging feeling that 2 off seasons ago. I think they could have, when you look at what the Brewers gave up to get Yelich, I think the Cubs could have. I think you could have sold Derek Jeter on Albert Almora as a big part of that trade, given that he's from Miami. He's a center fielder. He's 23 or whatever at the time. I'll never know that they didn't do that, but if they didn't, it just makes me want to kill myself.
Well, you can't block Addison's return, though.
See, I wondered if maybe this whole start of the season is on purpose. All right, guys, let's tank. Let's be awful. Let's distract from, Addison comes back, and people won't even notice it. They'll be too busy bitching about everything else. Oh, the bullpen sucks. Oh, this sucks. Watching. Oh, that's right. Now the wife beater is at shortstop. I think it's all just it's a grand plan.
Yeah.
To squash expectations so much.
Or
on May 1st, you can slide Addison in the lineup and nobody cares.
And
then you start winning, and then people are just used to him being there.
Or on the flip side, same strategy, you're tanking. Addison comes back, everybody stops tanking, and they're like, oh my God, look what Addison brought to this team. Look what a great guy he is. Yeah. Well, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be mathematically eliminated by May 1st.
I don't know what to think about the ridiculous David Bodie contract.
I forgot about that. You're so mad about this. You're right, though.
I'm not mad because I like David Bodie.
Sure.
I hope he's good. I just didn't see any reason for it.
Sure.
Who were you possibly? To me, that's like the Cardinals last year. All of a sudden deciding they're going to make Mike Schilt the manager.
Right.
Like, we got to lock him down. Why? Who was going to come steal him from you?
Right.
You could do it at the end of the season. To me, that was the same thing with Bodie.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, all right, this guy will resign for cheap. And then we go, look, we're still extending players. But I mean, he's still a fair bet to not be a big leaguer next year or 2 years from now. Well, but you're going to pay him $15 million over the next 5 years, or it's probably longer than that, 6 years.
What's amazing is watching a fullback play second base is my favorite part of the David Bodie era. But you're absolutely right.
And he gets to play shortstop once in a while too, which is even better.
If the Cubs were like, hey, we're basically not going to spend any offseason money outside of our guys. And this year they're like, oh, but we locked Bryant up to a 7-year contract.
Yeah,
I'd be ecstatic.
You would immediately forgive them. You would, even if it wasn't, you would think, oh, see, that was the plan.
Right.
They couldn't commit all that money. Right. They're going to take their MVP and they're going to make sure he's around
for a long.
Or they could do the same thing with Javi.
Yep.
But
exactly.
But they've gone to those guys and they're getting no's, and they got all the way down the list. They got all the way down to Bodie. They got to like number 37 on the list, and he's like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I would say with this administration or this organization, the way they're being right now, they got to Bodie and they were actually going alphabetically.
That's true.
But they still
he got it. Then Bryant won't get it because they already spent the money.
Exactly. But they did ask Baez at least. But yeah, that was definitely inexplicable.
Well, I mean, you could put your conspiracy hat on and go, okay, does this mean
he's going to
like, I'm joking when I do the whole 2.8 years and Chris Bryant's gone, but I might not be joking.
Why would
should we got to get Bodie locked up? Because maybe this frees us up. Then a year from now, we could trade Chris Bryant. If we know he's not going to stick around, we can get this big haul for him, although he's going to have to hit once in a while, which he will. He's Chris Bryant.
Yeah, he will.
But I don't think it's the Bryant thing as much. I think it was somehow a hedge against Russell. And the idea that, okay, if we're just going to have to dump this guy, Javi's going to become our regular shortstop. That makes Bodie more important.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to I think eventually, especially a year from now when Zobrist's gone, Bodie and Descalso are what you've got at second base.
Right. But
unless the great Nico Horner comes up and then.
But again, Dolan, like, if Bodie started this season like Hayward started this season, and you're like, oh God, this guy actually might be legit, then and I still wouldn't do it.
Even if you did, they didn't need it. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. I know.
Because he has no leverage at all. And they're just giving him money to give him money, I think. Obviously, he's got photos.
Maybe
he knows he's skilled at the art of compromat. And he's like, Theo, here you are with the gorilla head on and nothing else.
Maybe they knew that they needed to actually get some more expenses on the books so they could balance out their taxes evenly. So they wouldn't.
Well, it did happen right before tax time.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
They needed another deduction. They wanted to be able to, now they can claim Bodie as a dependent.
Exactly.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
So, well,
but it would be like if they
congratulations to him, because it's
no different than if tomorrow they have a press conference and go, guys, we've signed Alan Webster to a 6-year contract.
I had a buddy out of college who, I don't think he was a great student in college. And he just straight up, he applied to Motorola and just straight up, I probably should not keep giving. Anyhow, he's not a Cub fan. And he would probably be proud of this. He just kind of straight up lied to Motorola about his like projects he had done and all this stuff. And they hired him, and he was very good at that job later on, but like totally bluffed his way into the job and then made a very good career out of that, because like once you get that first one, you're good. So maybe that's what Bodie's.
Well, yeah, I think Bodie's thing was Bodie pretended that his dad was like a famous high school baseball coach. It's not. His dad's a shipbuilder in Trinidad and Tobago.
Bodie McBoatface?
Yeah. And I put Bodie can't hit a curveball, but that didn't quite go as well. I mean, like I said, I want him to be good. I really do. Sure. There's no reason not to think that, but I just don't. To my dying day, I won't understand what they accomplished by doing it.
I don't
other than giving him money.
He honestly, Dolan, though, could turn into a Hall of Famer, and it still wouldn't really make sense for the
like Jesus. Think how cheap we could have been paying this guy during these years, but we gave him a raise for no reason.
You know what this is? This will if Bodie hits, like if this is like hits like a slot machine hitting. This will be like when Tommy Lasorda bragged every fucking time he drafted Mike Piazza. 1,200 in the draft, and he's like, and like did it for a favor, and then took all the credit for that guy's Hall of Fame career. It's that will be what they do. Like you can't retroactively claim shit like that, because you can't tell me David Bodie really is the type of guy that you want to build a well, not that you're spending franchise money around it, but you're right. No one was knocking on David Bodie's door begging them to come play for it.
Well, if you're worried about the bullpen, BC tweeted something to me that I wouldn't have known. I hadn't seen it yet, but there's really good news because Brian Dunsing is pitching for the Iowa Cubs.
Okay.
So he's only a phone call away.
Okay.
There's another guy that you knew that was like they had caught lightning in a bottle with him. And you thought, okay, good. Now you got that year out of him. You got to go find next year's Brian Dunsing.
Right.
And they're like, this is next year's Brian Dunsing. It's like, no, it's not.
No, this is last year's Brian Dunsing, 1 year older.
I mean, obviously, Theo and Jed know what they're doing. They built the team that won the World Series. But they've done stuff that I didn't think I never thought I'd have to worry that they would do it. To me, the Hayward thing was, hey, this guy's pretty good. Let's pay him like a superstar, and he'll become a superstar.
Yeah.
That's complete Jim Hendry logic.
Yeah.
They did it like he's only 26.
That's it.
Sorry. It's like, okay, right. Well, look at his numbers. They're all going in the wrong direction, and he literally had only had one good playoff series ever, and it was against them. And they're like, "Oh, look at this guy. He knows he's great."
That's kind of Soriano. Like, and don't get me wrong, I think Soriano got
more. Well, yeah, that was, hey, we need to sign somebody.
Right.
And they offered him money, and Alfonso's like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And that's how they got it. There was no strategy behind that other than they wanted to sell the team and they wanted to add a big name.
But I just mean like in the paying him because Soriano was a good, and frankly was a better player than Hayward was when he signed with the Cubs, probably, or had a better resume, I guess. But like, I don't think Soriano ever deserved superstar money that he got with what he was, and I liked Soriano, but yeah, it's that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
You're right,
and it's kind of been that way with the. I was surprised because they hadn't done anything like that. But when they sent Happ to the minors, I thought it was the right. He was terrible in the spring. He'd been terrible at long stretches last year. He was awful in the spring. He needed to go to Iowa. He's got stuff straightened out. But I feel like they have created a stigma of sending young hitters down. You know, they were so reluctant to do it with Schwarber in 2017. Here was a guy who'd missed almost all of 2016, except for his miraculous return in the World Series.
And that was terrible.
The fact that he was struggling shouldn't have surprised anybody.
Right.
He'd never spent a full year in the big leagues yet. But they kept him. He was
all this weight.
Well, he was still it was before.
Oh, no, he
was big Kyle still.
Schwarbs, that's right.
But it was painful. We're watching him flounder. Yeah. And it's like, you haven't used any of he has options.
Yeah.
Send him to Iowa. And they would not do it. They didn't do it till, he was terrible. Like by the middle of May, he was sitting in the 150s.
Yeah.
And they didn't send him until the middle of June. They finally sent him to Iowa. And, Albert last year, really? He never had to go back to Iowa to learn how to, get back to hitting the ball the other way. Maybe work on, I don't know, hitting right-handed pitching. Well, I don't know what they think they're. This doesn't seem like the front office that should go, well, our big league coaches will instruct this. This is not the place to learn how to do this shit. That's why you have the minor leagues.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think the idea of like coaches actually coaching is so funny to me at the major league level. It's like, what are you?
You're supposed to be saying. You're supposed to be pretty much a finished product when you come up.
Exactly. And then
you don't have to be completely. There's obviously things you can improve on.
Exactly.
Like I think they were they love to brag about how all their first round picks were in the big leagues. Yeah. That they were looking at them all struggling, and they didn't want to admit that they had to send them back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of troubling, really, that these guys blow through the minors. They get up to the big leagues. They produce right away, but then they all, except for Bryant, he's only ever regressed because of injury. They all start to backslide. The only guy who had a normal development out of this group was Hobby. And it's like, holy shit, look how good he is.
Yeah,
he's the only one they let slowly work his way up through. They even did it with Russell.
Yeah,
honestly, they brought him up too early when they brought him up in 2015. He wasn't ready.
Terrible. Yeah,
and then they couldn't figure out for the longest time that, well, he's our shortstop of the future, and Starlin is kicking the ball all over the park. It took them forever to swap them, and then they just did it overnight one night. They made Starlin sit on the bench for 3 days, and then they made him second baseman.
Yep.
But it's just, for all of the really good things they've done, they just seem to, a lot of the things they do just seems like they're being stubborn about it instead of strategic. And I thought the whole idea was, you're going to get this next level thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe their dietitian and sports psychologist, those two would suggest sending those guys down. They'd be, we should do that. But I mean, I don't think they've killed anybody's development, but I can't help but think Albert in particular would be better had he actually had to go back. And I mean, I know they sent him down in 2016, right? They sent him down the day he got married.
Oh, that's right.
Like on an off day, he's like, "Hey, I got married." Oh, good. Then you and your wife will enjoy your honeymoon in Des Moines. On your way by, stop and see the biggest ball of twine.
Albert, can I talk to you for a second over here? All right, Dylan. This is our latest podcast.
Yeah, we've bludgeoned this podcast to death.
Sorry about that.
Just think though, folks, if you somehow made it to the end and you liked this or parts of this,
welcome.
All the other ones have been better. So, next week will be even better. And I think Kyle's supposed to be back next week. So for the first time, we'll actually have the entire podcast team together.
Team, eh?
Yeah, what a team.
Well, thanks, Sweden. We love you out there.
Well, the Swedes love David Bodie. So they're going to be very happy.
Yeah, Bodie probably has the O with the slash through it and the 2 dots over it.
That's probably why they're subscribing.
Bodie. It's probably a curse word in Swedish.
It's a sex act. So we'll just say it even more often.
It was when he hit that walk-off grand slam, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
All right. We didn't even introduce ourselves this time.
I was thinking about
Doesn't matter.
When I said your full name, who cares?
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. We'll do better next week.
No, we won't.
No, probably not.